Keir Starmer is actually saving Britain. His refusal to resign as Prime Minister is finally waking people up to the absurdity of the situation. The Americans had their awakening with Joe Biden. Now it's our turn with Keir Starmer. That's what we're going to talk about in this clip.
What is the end result of this guy not resigning is that it's getting people off their backsides. It's seeing, reform winning loads of seats. It's seeing Restore Britain. It's seeing, my friend rang me the other day. He says he's going to stand as an MP for Restore Britain because he's just had enough and he wants to stand up. And he never had any plans of being a politician in his life. But that's what's happening. People are actually getting up off their backsides. You've got the fuel protest that happened here a few weeks ago, which has massively increased the awakening and the consciousness. The consciousness is rising. There is a new consciousness coming in to the world, and in order for that to happen, it means that we are seeing people for who they really are, or we're seeing facsimile versions of these people showing us what they were, how bad the originals were. That's what we're seeing, and I think that's my optimistic take on it. And I don't, I'd say the same thing to everybody: question everything, including what I'm saying, and do your own research. But a lot of what I talk about comes from years and years of research, combined with lots and lots of strange experiences, combined with plant medicine, combined with claircognizance. So my gut feeling is that that's not the original Keir Starmer, and we are watching a movie play out. And
Right.
this is necessary for Britain to realise many, many things. I mean, it's not really Britain; it's England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. It's there was a Magna Carta. There was the original Constitution came from England.
Mhm.
And people just don't. We've had a fraudulent financial system. The City of London is a separate country. It's one of the three legs of the stool, along with the Vatican and District of Columbia, which are the financial arm, the spiritual arm, and the military arm, and that is being dismantled as we speak. So that's my positive outlook on it.
Okay, let me go back to a couple of things. And you said one is, uh, and I didn't like that you said this, or that there's this idea that this is God's plan, and when children are being sacrificed, what kind of a plan is that? Surely the Almighty can come up with a plan that doesn't involve 908 children going missing in 12 months from one small town in the UK. Lord knows how many are going missing from Glasgow and Birmingham and London, right? I didn't like that.
Well, the fact is that it's been 22,000 children have gone missing every single day since the Second World War, and if you type in that, adds up to 8 million children. I think we've discussed this before,
Yeah.
but you'll find an article in the Irish Mirror, I think from 2014, that says 8 million children missing every single year. And people
But
always say, "Oh, that figure's ridiculous. Most of the children get found." Actually, the official statistics are not the whole story. The whole story, and this is all about children, right?
yeah.
This has been going on for a very, very long time. It's just that we're seeing it now, and we had to see it in order to believe it. I mean, I've been talking about satanic ritual abuse for 20 years to people that just laugh at me, shut the door in my face, kick me out of parties, and break up friendships with me because they just think I'm a nutter. But it's a fact. And, I happen to know this years ago, and I've been talking about it ever since. And, people don't believe, until they see it in the newspapers, they don't believe any of it, which is why, we've got these UFO files being disclosed at the moment. And, crazy. It's a crazy time.
It is absolutely crazy time, and we may come to those UFO files. And what I meant was, I don't like that God's plan has children disappearing.
Well, no, I think it's God's plan is to expose the fact that they've been disappearing.
That's a good plan. That's a much better plan.
But then it comes down to what is God, and that's where we're at. We're at this point. I mean, there were a load of pastors taken to one side last week and told to prepare their people in America, the Christians, because the information that's going to come out from the UFO files is going to bring into question their whole understanding of who God is.
Hmm.
And if you look at somebody, I know I've interviewed a lot of very interesting people over the years. One of which is a guy called Ryushin Malone. Ryushin has a website called theorionlines.com, and he links all this back to the Orion Wars. Now he says God is a woman, and that there was a deal done with Satan where Satan could have his little season and do what he wanted, and that time is coming to an end now.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. And then going back to Keir Starmer, this is not the original Keir Starmer.
I don't think it is. No.
So when did the switcheroo happen, and
Well,
who's
I'm
put
not.
him in place? Or
I don't know when it happened, but I do think it happened. I think there's rumors that there's 300,000 people playing parts around the world in every country in the world as part of this awakening that we have to go through in order to shift consciousness and shift dimensions. Because we you have to show people. You can't tell them. You have to show them. So we're being shown a situation that's so ridiculous that it is actually getting people going, well, hang on, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this Labour Prime Minister literally destroying the country willfully? They wouldn't be this obvious, I don't think. And you said before we came on air that he was continuing the plan for the Great Reset to wipe us all out. They could wipe us out anytime they wanted. In theory, they could have done it many, many times by now, but it hasn't happened. So the fact that we're still here and we're having these discussions and not being taken down anymore for talking about this stuff means that there's some good at play here, in my opinion.
yeah, no, there's plenty of good at play, and I think their plans are falling apart, and they're scrambling to try and get together what they want to get together and everything, right?
I mean, look, Keir Starmer was head of the CPS. He's the guy that let Jimmy Savile off
Yep.
back in
And
2001.
Muhammad Al Fayed and the
Yeah.
Pakistani rape gangs.
Now, I think that's why he was put into this position, because why would you get somebody with that history, that terrible history, and become prime minister? Because in a normal situation, that they wouldn't choose somebody like that. I mean, when you're talking about switch outs, do you remember during COVID when Boris Johnson went into hospital for 10 days and he came out looking like a different man?
I don't
That's
remember
how.
he looked different. Maybe I didn't notice it. I'm not
Yeah, well,
disputing that.
I was looking for it, so
Yeah,
that's why I did notice it, because back in 2020 I was like, well, that's not Joe Biden. I mean, it's so
yeah.
obviously not Joe Biden. That was not the original Joe Biden. There's no, there's no, there's nothing similar about their faces at all. There were multiple people playing Joe Biden. So then you've got to ask yourself, if you accept that that wasn't Joe Biden, which any rational person can accept that if they just look at the original Joe Biden and look at the people that played Joe Biden for 4 years, then you have to ask yourself, well, who was that? What was that government? The most powerful country in the world had a fake president.
And the same with Putin. It's not the same Putin.
That's not the same
It
Putin.
doesn't look like the guy who was there earlier.
Yeah.
Different
So
shape head.
the original Putin was a bad guy, and he was a Rothschild. He was working for the bad guys, and this one's much nicer, cuddly.
If you enjoyed this video, you can find the whole clip right here. And don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. Links in the description below.